The Young and the Restless spoilers. Thurdays, full July 17, 2025. There was no warning before the silence dropped like a curtain. No scream, no scuffle, just a subtle stillness that crept into the air like a fog seeping into the room's edges. The bourbon still glistened in its crystal decanter, half full, beside two tumblers, one used, the other untouched. Kane Ashby stood over the lifeless body of Damien, his eyes wide with a kind of disbelief that went beyond shock. His hand trembled as he reached down and placed two fingers against the man's neck, desperate to detect even the faintest pulse. But there was nothing. Only the cold stillness of death. The absurdity of the moment struck him like a slap. He had been sharing drinks with Damien just moments ago. Laughing, arguing, maybe even reconnecting. And now, without a single sound of struggle, Damien was gone. What happened between the pour and the poison? Phyllis Summers burst through the door with urgency carved across her face, her heels clicking against the tile like gunfire. The moment her eyes fell on the sight before her, Damien sprawled on the floor, blood gathering near his chest, a dagger glinting nearby, her breath caught in her throat. "We'll get help," she said with a tremor, eyes wide, already stepping closer. "We can still." "No," Kane cut her off, his voice low, almost defeated. "Phyllis, he's dead. Damien's dead." The words echoed louder than they were spoken. Phyllis froze, visibly recoiling, her gaze shifting between Kane, the dagger, and Damien's still body. Her mind was already constructing a scene, as if the pieces had already begun to fall into place. "You," she began, hesitant, accusatory, shaken. "You think I did this?" Kane demanded, reading her expression like a headline. "You think I killed Damien?" Phyllis struggled to find the right words, unable to disguise the suspicion tightening her posture. "It doesn't look good, Kane," she admitted. "You're the only one here. A dead man. A dagger. You tell me what I'm supposed to think." "We were drinking." Kane's voice rose with desperation. "We were sitting right here drinking bourbon. That's all." She narrowed her eyes. "Did you poison it?" "What?" "No," he barked. "I had a few sips myself. I was just feeling buzzed, barely anything. We were talking, arguing about the past, but nothing like this." Still, her eyes flicked to the bourbon bottle, then back to Damien's body. She crouched down, hands hovering over the lifeless form, almost as if afraid to touch it. "Did you see anyone? Any sign of who did this?" Kane shook his head, his own confusion darkening into a kind of simmering panic. "No. No, wait. That dagger, it didn't come from the floor. It came from the shadows. Someone threw it." It hit him mid-sentence. Phyllis stared at the blade's angle, the peculiar clean trajectory, the lack of scuffle or hand-to-hand violence. She wanted to reject the theory, to point fingers, but something didn't sit right. Who would do that? Who could even throw a knife like that, she asked, almost rhetorically. But Kane's silence held a weight heavier than denial. And then her voice turned sharper. "There's only one person who had a reason. One person who's been seething under his skin ever since Damien showed up. That's you." Kane's eyes burned with rage, but underneath was a flicker of vulnerability. "You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to watch him die?" he snapped. "No. I need to tell someone. I need to find Amanda. And I need to find Chance. Now." Across the estate, aboard a private vintage railcar that had been converted into a mobile lounge, Chance Chancellor sat with Devon Winters and Abby Newman. The three had retreated here briefly to catch their breath after the turbulence of the week. Damien's reappearance, the tension at the French chateau, the fractures forming within the inner circle of Genoa City's elite, it all brewed into a storm of whispers and worries. "I should probably be heading back to the States," Chance said, half sighing. "I'm needed there. But something about this place keeps pulling me back. Maybe it's the castle. Or the danger. Devon's brow furrowed. "We all want to go home," he said. "But not without closure. Damien didn't deserve to go through what he went through. My mother's finally stable again, but no one knows how much longer she'll have." Then Chance's phone rang. Kane's voice came through, frantic but direct. Damien was dead. Phyllis was with him. He needed Chance immediately. Back at the scene, Kane sat on the edge of a sofa, his hands trembling as Phyllis silently processed the weight of what had occurred. No longer looking to accuse, she now watched Kane through the lens of someone trying to understand a greater truth. The dynamic had shifted. She was no longer a judge, she was a witness. When Chance finally arrived, he moved with the composed intensity of a man trained to separate truth from performance. He knelt beside Damien's body, eyes scanning for patterns, for anything Kane or Phyllis had missed. "Tell me everything," he said. And Kane did. He recounted the conversation. The bottle of bourbon. The laugh, the momentary reconciliation. The shimmer in Damien's eye when he told a story from their shared past. And then, the sudden silence, followed by the thud of the dagger, from nowhere, piercing Damien's chest before Kane even processed it. Chance studied the trajectory, the wound, the distance from which the dagger must have been thrown. "It's not impossible," he muttered. "Someone with enough skill, from a distance, could have done it without making a sound." Phyllis chimed in, now less accusatory, more unsettled. "Then we have a killer on the loose. One who's precise. Professional." Chance stood, fixing his gaze on Kane. "And you're sure you didn't see anyone? No movement? No silhouette?" Kane shook his head. "Just the sound. Just the impact." Chance sighed, his instincts firing in all directions. Someone had murdered Damien, and the precision suggested premeditation. But why now? And who would want to frame Kane? Or was the target someone else entirely? The web was growing, and it was clear, this wasn't the end. Damien's death wasn't an accident or an isolated outburst. It was a message. And the ripple was only beginning to spread. Soon, Lily would learn of the death and the accusation. Amanda would demand answers, and if Amanda discovered that Kane had been drinking with Damien shortly before his death, it would open old wounds and force her to question her loyalties. The entire castle, once a playground for secrets and seduction, was now a crime scene. And above it all, the air carried the weight of betrayal, past, present, and yet to come. As the air grew heavier within the corridors of the Dumas estate, Kane moved with a strange urgency, not quite running, but faster than a man should be walking after witnessing death. His mind was ablaze, every thought tangled in guilt, suspicion, and a desperate need to get ahead of whatever storm was already gathering behind him. Phyllis followed closely, visibly rattled, her heels snapping against the marble with a sharp rhythm that betrayed her composure. They reached the lounge car where Devon and Abby were lingering, attempting to make sense of the chaos left in Damien's wake. Without hesitation, Kane stepped in and locked eyes with them. "Do you know where Amanda is?" he demanded, his voice harsher than intended, his eyes flickering with something unspoken. Abby blinked, caught off guard by the intensity in his tone. "What's going on?" she asked carefully. Kane hesitated just a beat, then glanced toward Phyllis. It was a silent exchange, full of complications and buried truths. "I need to speak with Chance," he finally said, quieter now, but no less urgent. "Alone." Abby's frown deepened as Kane and Phyllis moved past them and out of the car. But Devon was already watching Phyllis with narrowed eyes. Something in her body language, her jittery hands, her lack of eye contact, it all screamed that she knew more than she was letting on. "What happened?" Devon asked, stepping closer. "You were with him. What happened to Damien?" Phyllis turned slowly. Her expression was unreadable, but there was fire beneath it. "Back off," she snapped. Without another word, she reached for the bar cart, poured herself a generous glass of scotch, and walked away, leaving a stunned silence behind her. Outside, as the estate's lavish evening lights dimmed into moonlight, the maze, once an ornament of charm and elegance, became a place of strange foreboding. Lily wandered through it, her thoughts a maelstrom of worry and intuition. She had been searching for Damien for over an hour now, and the nagging feeling that something was wrong had started to bloom into full panic. She moved past the carefully trimmed hedges and into the cocktail garden, where Amanda stood near a makeshift outdoor bar, checking her phone. Amanda looked up and tilted her head. "Did you find Damien?" Lily shook her head, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Maybe he's still with Kane," she said, though her tone lacked conviction. She looked away, unsettled. "Something feels off. I'm starting to wonder if my ex is playing one of his games." Amanda raised an eyebrow. "This new version of Kane is hard to read." Lily gave a soft, joyless laugh. "Hard to trust too. I thought I knew him, but these past few days, I don't recognize him." Amanda studied her friend for a moment, the tension in Lily's jaw, the unsettled restlessness in her stance. "You really care about Damien, don't you?" she asked gently. "He's special," Lily admitted. "He sees me in ways Kane never could. He doesn't hold things over my head. He doesn't weaponize love. With him, things are calm." Amanda nodded, a small smile brushing her lips. "I'm happy for him. For both of you." Lily looked down. "If he shows up." Amanda's eyes darkened slightly, reading between the lines. "You want me to talk to Kane?" "Don't," Lily said immediately. "It won't help. He knows I've moved on. And I think he's accepted it, finally." Amanda crossed her arms. "I doubt that. I think he's still holding out hope. And I think Kane will do anything to win back the woman he still loves." Lily sighed. "Then he's wasting his time. He can try whatever he wants, it's not going to happen." Before either could respond, footsteps echoed in the stone archway behind them. Devon and Abby emerged from the direction of the rail car, and one glance at their faces confirmed Lily's worst fears. "What is it?" Lily asked, voice taut. "Did something happen?" Devon hesitated, but Abby stepped forward. "You need to come with us. Something happened on the train." Amanda's expression shifted immediately, her instincts kicking in. "Is it Damien?" she asked. Devon nodded. "Come on. There's something you both need to see." They moved quickly across the gardens and down toward the grand foyer, where the air had already begun to buzz with rumors and panic. The once elegant party atmosphere had curdled into a dark and restless energy. Just outside the central gallery, a small crowd had gathered, murmuring in hushed tones. And at the center of it stood Kane and Chance, both flanked by a pair of staffers pushing a stainless steel stretcher, draped with a white cloth that shrouded something too still, too final. Lily stopped in her tracks. Her breath caught in her throat. "No," she said softly, already knowing. Kane stepped forward, extending a hand toward her. "Lily, please," but she wasn't listening. "Don't," she said, backing away. "Don't try to control this. Don't try to control me." "I'm not," he started. "I want to see him," she snapped. "Now." Without waiting for permission, Lily moved to the stretcher and, with shaking hands, lifted the sheet. The world fell out from under her. Damien's face was pale, still, and heartbreakingly serene. The faintest hint of dried blood marred the collar of his shirt. He looked like he was sleeping. Only he wasn't. Lily staggered back, a hand to her mouth as Amanda rushed to steady her. A cry escaped her lips, guttural, shocked, broken. Devon turned away, jaw tight. Abby's eyes welled with tears. And Kane, despite everything, looked utterly devastated. Lily rounded on him. "What did you do?" she demanded. "I didn't," Kane began. "Don't lie to me," she shouted. "You were with him last. You said it yourself. You drank with him. And now he's dead?" "I didn't kill him," Kane said, his voice cracking. "Then who did?" Amanda's voice rang out, sharp, cold, and suspicious. "Who else had access to that dagger? Who else knew about your collection? And where is the bourbon bottle? Where is the glass?" "I don't know," Kane whispered. But no one believed him. And somewhere, watching from behind a curtain or the shadows of the stone estate, someone else was already planning their next move. The tension in the stone corridors of the Dumas estate was suffocating, as though every breath carried the weight of a secret too dangerous to name. The air still smelled faintly of alcohol and candle wax, and somewhere beyond the thick velvet drapes, the world outside remained blissfully unaware of the silent chaos unfolding within. Kane walked stiffly ahead, his pulse pounding in his ears as Chance followed closely behind, his expression unreadable, professionally cold. At the far end of the corridor, behind an arched oak door, the body still lay, at least, it had moments ago. The space beyond was unervingly quiet, the blood pooled beneath the Persian rug darker now, and Damien's chest no longer rose and fell with breath. But as Chance knelt beside the body, checking for vital signs, he blinked and muttered something beneath his breath. Kane leaned in, and for the first time since the initial shock, felt a new jolt of dread surge through him. "Where is it?" Kane asked, voice sharp. His eyes darted to the floor where it should have been. "Where's the dagger?" Chance stood slowly, his posture tightening. "You're telling me the murder weapon is gone?" "I swear," Kane said, his voice dry, trembling. "It was right there. When Phyllis came in, it was sticking out of his chest." "You need to tell me what happened here," Chance said, the calm edge of law enforcement sharpening his tone into something deadly serious. Kane's throat felt dry, but he began to speak, haltingly at first, then with a rush of urgency as he relived the moment. The drinks. The brief laughter. The unspoken tension that simmered between two men with too much history and too many wounds. The sudden end. "That dagger wasn't meant for him," Kane muttered under his breath. "It was meant for me." Chance turned sharply. "Then the question is, where is it now?" Kane shook his head. "I don't know. I swear I don't know." "And the bourbon?" Chance continued. "Gone. The bottle. The glasses. Everything," Kane said. "They're all missing. The killer must have taken them. Covered their tracks." Chance glanced toward the arched entryway, as though replaying the crime scene in his mind. "You didn't see anyone? No movement? No sound?" "No," Kane said, panic creeping into his voice now. "Just the dagger and Damien falling. That's it." Chance crossed his arms, frustration lacing his calm. "If you didn't see it come in, how do you know it was a dagger?" "It's mine," Kane said after a pause. "It's a ceremonial dagger. From a private collection I keep in a locked cabinet. Someone stole it. I knew it the second I saw the hilt. It's not just any blade." Chance's brow lifted slightly. "So anyone could have taken it. Anyone at this estate. This opens a full-blown investigation." Kane nodded. "I'm telling you, this isn't something we can bring to the local authorities. We're in a foreign country, and this gets messy fast." Chance frowned. "You want me to look into this unofficially?" "The best I can offer you," Kane said, voice low, "is access to everything I have here. Full cooperation. I'll make it worth your while." "How worth my while?" Chance asked. Kane didn't flinch. $500,000. You'll be my private investigator. Discreet. Effective." Chance didn't answer right away. He stared at Kane as though weighing the offer against his conscience, his badge, and the growing weight of a dead body behind them. Then, finally, he nodded once. Fine. But you don't lie to me. If I find out you're involved, I'm not, Kane snapped. And I want to prove it. Elsewhere, Phyllis was already doing her own damage control. She had cornered Nick Newman outside the veranda, her voice low but urgent. You saw anything strange tonight? She asked him, grasping his arm. Any sounds? Shadows? Anyone sneaking out? Nick looked at her with concern. Why? What happened? Before she could answer, footsteps echoed through the long hallway, followed by a tense silence. Lily Winters arrived, a hint of confusion on her face but not yet alarm. Has anyone seen Damien? She asked, eyes scanning the space. He said he'd meet me an hour ago. Phyllis's face fell, her lips tightening into a grim line. Nick stepped back, uncomfortable. What is it? Lily asked again, firmer now. What's going on? Phyllis opened her mouth to respond. The truth is, she began. But she was cut off by a procession that came down the corridor like a silent storm. Kane walked beside Chance, eyes downcast. Two estate staffers followed them, one pushing a stretcher draped in a crisp white sheet. Carter trailed behind, pale and somber. The sight of the shrouded form silenced the hallway. A cold wave of realization hit Lily, but denial fought to hold her in place. Kane stopped in front of her, reaching a hand out gently. Lily. I need you to come with me. No, she snapped, stepping back. Don't do that. Don't treat me like I'm fragile. Don't handle me. Lily, please, he began. I want to know who this is, she shouted. Right now. With a trembling hand, Lily stepped forward and peeled back the sheet. The air escaped her lungs in a long, broken gasp. Her knees buckled, and she staggered back a step, one hand over her mouth. Damien lay still, his face ashen, his lips slightly parted as if he were frozen mid-sentence. Her eyes locked on his lifeless face, and for a long, suspended moment, she didn't move. No, she whispered. No, no, no. Phyllis stepped forward, catching Lily as her strength gave out. The hallway erupted into chaos, gasps, murmurs, half-formed theories. And still, Kane stood frozen, unable to move, because even now, even after everything, the image of Damien's body felt like a lie. It felt orchestrated. Controlled. As if someone wanted to provoke exactly this. Chance exchanged a glance with Carter, then looked down the hall again. Whoever took that dagger, he muttered, knew exactly what they were doing. And somewhere, hidden in the dark corners of the estate, someone was listening.